It's time to take a quick look at the advanced settings menu. Now, a couple of these settings people get a little bit scared to change or to play with because it's in the advanced section and it might mess up their entire OBS Studio. But really, they're quite simple settings, and some of them can make a big difference to your stream. So it's important to go through them one by one and just double check that you know what they do and how they can help you as a streamer. So we'll just go from the top to the bottom and check them out as we go. First one, we've got this little subtitle General, and here we have a drop-down menu called Process Priority. Now, what this is going to do is change the priority of your OBS Studio processes in your operating system, in your computer settings. Now, what that means is if we put the process priority on high, your computer will prioritize all of your OBS Studio features and processes above everything else in your PC. So if you have something else going on in the background, like, I don't know, some rendering in After Effects, or which I wouldn't recommend, by the way, or I don't know, some rendering in other programs or downloading or something like that, your computer will prioritize your OBS Studio over everything else so that it lags or has issues last. Now, that is huge because if something starts happening whilst you're streaming, if your computer starts downloading something or updating, what it will do is make sure that your OBS Studio is the last thing to suffer any lag or frame drops on your computer. So if you do have issues with your PC, maybe your CPU maxes out or your GPU maxes out or anything like that, I would recommend setting this process priority to above normal or high to make sure that your stream is the last thing to get affected by these issues. Now, for me, I'm lucky enough to have quite a high-end PC build. So for me, I don't need to change this. But if you do end up having small issues, this might be the savior you've been looking for. Your video settings are usually very, very default and standard. Your renderer is just the one renderer from your GPU. Color formats stay at MV12, and color space determines how many colors and the range of colors that you use. I would just leave this at its defaults. You're not really going to see many differences unless you change the color range and somebody else has an extremely high resolution monitor. But really, this is not going to make a difference to your streams. I would leave that as is. Your recording advanced settings, this is really just about the files and their formats. So here you will see that it's going to, when I save my recordings in the directory, the format of the name of the file is going to be year, month, date, hour, minute, second. Now I can obviously change this to something like OBS recording and then the default format so that I know that it's one of my OBS recordings. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as is because I know that format. If you want to change it, you can. Replay buffer file name prefix. This only really applies if you have replay buffer turned on. It's a feature that means you can rewind your stream for people to watch. And sometimes when you activate replay buffer, it will save the file for you. So again, this is just changing the file name prefix and suffix. It's not really affecting anything on your OBS Studio, so don't worry about that too much. Stream delay. Now, quite a lot of streamers like to use stream delay, especially streamers who are doing something that could be affected by viewers being able to see what they're doing in real time. So I work with a few streamers who are poker streamers. Obviously, if you're playing competitive poker, you don't want your viewers to be able to see your hand in real time. You're going to need there to be some sort of delay on your stream. Otherwise, they're going to be able to call your bluff every single time. So what we need to do with stream delay is click enable and then choose the delay. Now for a poker streamer, you're going to want this to be around 500 minutes, 5 minutes. So we're going to put this to 300 seconds. However, when you choose to delay your stream, OBS Studio has to store that video data in order to enable the delay. So you will see here it says estimated memory usage 304 megabytes. And if I increase that delay, the estimated memory usage increases because we're having to store more video to show at a later date. So the longer your stream delay, the more memory usage is going to be in place. For me, I don't have a stream delay because I stream games that I want people to be involved with. But if you are something like a poker streamer or a competitive gamer will not want anyone to see where they're hiding or where they're camping or something like that, you'll need to add a stream delay. But just be careful. If you do go over like maybe 1,000 seconds, you're going to start using up a lot of your internal memory. So just be careful with the stream delay. Automatically reconnect it does what it says on the tin. If your stream does disconnect for whatever reason, this setting being enabled will make sure that OBS automatically tries to reconnect you after a certain time. So for me, I've got it set to 10 seconds. So if after 10 seconds there's still no signal, OBS Studio will try to reconnect me to my streaming platform. I recommend this being on because sometimes when you're streaming, you might not even see that you've disconnected from YouTube or Twitch, or it's just not streaming anymore. So I'd have this on and set it to around 5 or 10 seconds. Your network settings, you can keep the same on defaults unless you are having a particularly tough time with your network, but I would always keep this on the default settings. If you start to mess around with the particular addresses, the Ethernet addresses and everything like that, you might have a bad time. Sources. Now, this is one setting that people get a little bit confused about. This is the browser source hardware acceleration. And what this setting does is if I turn this on, OBS Studio will start to try and delegate processes to different parts of my GPU or CPU. It will look at what needs to be done and what's available everywhere on my PC, what kind of space and memory space is available on my PC, and it will delegate those processes to different parts of my PC. This is a great option for people who have GPU or CPUs that might be struggling. If you turn this on, your OBS Studio will try and share out those processes, share out the stress amongst all of your available hardware. For me, it's not so much of an issue, so I keep it turned off so that my GPU can manage all of that information. But for some people who might be having lag issues, you can switch this on and see if it solves your problem. And then finally, hotkeys. If you found that when you leave OBS Studio, your hotkeys aren't working, it's because this setting is set to disable hotkeys when main window is not in focus or in focus. Personally, I would leave this on never disable hotkeys. Otherwise, what is the point in having hotkeys? Like if if I'm playing a game on my PC and I want my hotkey to do something in OBS Studio, and I have to open OBS Studio for the hotkeys to be enabled, it just doesn't make sense to me. There's no point in having hotkeys if they're disabled. So I would have this set on never disable hotkeys. There are circumstances, maybe you're using a certain key on your keyboard in a game or in a program, and that is associated with a hotkey. You may want to turn it off at times, but I would leave it on in most circumstances.